General Keane, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Do you hear this discussion about the potential of Iranian speedboats attacking ships, or the Houthis trying to close the passage that the Saudis use for oil transit in the Red Sea? Where do you think this is heading today, General?
Well, I think we've clearly shifted the momentum here. The Iranians closed the Strait of Hormuz, and with that, they finally managed to achieve a ceasefire. The war was halted. That was what they wanted. They offered negotiations, but they only wanted the war to stop because we were crushing them. The president, his national security team, and the CENTCOM commander assessed this situation. That's the strength of the American armed forces, right? Very adaptable. We're flexible. We observe what the enemy does and certainly change our plans and react accordingly. So you're seeing that reaction here. And clearly what we achieved here was shutting down Iran's source of income, period. That's what happened right before our eyes. This is economic warfare. And what did that lead to? It gave the government considerably more leverage going into these negotiations than they had the first time. That's the reality of what happened. I think the Iranians made two miscalculations here. Yes, they closed the Strait of Hormuz, and we started to pay an economic and political price for that here in the United States. And yes, there was certainly pressure on the government and on President Trump as a result of that. They entered these negotiations thinking this is going to be good for us because the government will make some concessions due to this pressure. Wrong. That didn't happen. We held our position. The president and his team talked. He said, I want everything, but they didn't get it. And Iran went home with its head down to rethink their strategy. They also threaten, as always, with strong rhetoric, saying they will interfere with our blockade that took away all their revenue. If they do that in the next 8 days, you know what happens. We'll go back to full combat. They know that. Let's see if they really take that action. Regarding our course here, remember this is the blockade phase, cutting off their revenue and making sure no ships go in or out, trading Iranian oil. But what about the other ships that have no connection to Iran or its oil and all the other countries there? Will the companies that distribute oil use the strait, or will they continue operating in their own fields? Do the ship owners still think it's too dangerous to do that because of the Iranian threat that existed and in their minds still exists? The forces of Sibaris in Siberia and the president are ready for this reality, and if it doesn't happen, we'll see if it will. In my personal opinion, that's probably not going to happen, and that leads us directly to the operation in the strait. The mission is to clear the area, remove mines, ensure security, and prepare ship escorts, protecting them throughout the entire crossing process. With drones around and miles away detecting incoming missiles, the same goes for aircraft. Protecting the entire crossing there, and this is a longer operation, and at some point, if we need to continue this operation, then we would probably hand it over to allies and partners. So actually, I see two phases in this. Phase 1, the blockade phase, and then phase 2, assuming we might need that other phase, preparations are certainly being made to carry out that phase seriously and successfully.
Who are the allies and partners in this second phase?
Yes, they certainly would be. Really? The number of those who volunteered to do this? Yes, several European countries will participate, certainly allied countries. And the Arab countries in the region will also participate. Yeah, there may be some Asian countries, but it's not certain. There have been some talks with them regarding participation.
Yes.
So listen, then we need help to do this. No doubt. As we said at the beginning, we can start the process and make sure it's safe, being one thing and the other. Countries don't want to get involved in establishing this level of security, but we frankly need assistance to continue over time. And we hope that the promise we've received will be fulfilled.
According to the president, Asia and Europe have much more traffic through this area than we do. We hope they change their minds. Starmer doesn't seem to be on the same page right now, but let's see what happens. Thank you very much, General. As always, you are the best source to follow what's happening. Thank you. The ambassador of ZY to the UN, Mike Waltz, is with us. Ambassador, welcome. What would you like people to know about the current situation?
Well, thank you, Sandra. And as the Vice President said, they have established a very basic framework for Iran to behave like a normal nation. Number one, stop supporting terrorist groups. Number two, they cannot have a nuclear program, as President Trump and also the United Nations have said in resolution after resolution for decades. This includes both enrichment and highly enriched uranium. And you have to open the maritime routes. And this is the most recent action by the president, who says you can't hold the whole world hostage. You can't, even though this Iranian regime started by holding Americans hostage, you can't hold the world's economies hostage. He turned the tables. You have tremendous naval resources there, and Central Command just released their statistics showing that they're making the Iranian ships back down. Iran cannot choose the winners and losers in the global economy. The United States of America, we will do that until all the ships are released. Either no ship leaves or all of them leave.
You know, the Strait of Hormuz used to be Iran's biggest asset and point of influence. The president appears to have taken that from them. If he manages to open the strait using the 2 guided missile destroyers that are there now and the mine-clearing equipment, with whatever help other countries can provide, the Iranians have no choice but to come back to the table.
Well, we sent our 2 destroyers. Mine-sweeping operations are underway, John, and you're absolutely right. What President Trump did was take away that influence, stop Iran from trying to hold the economies of the whole world hostage. This action took that off the table. From the United Nations point of view, we cannot live in a world where 2 sides have a conflict, whether we agree or not, and we have a country trying to close the Strait of Gibraltar, or the Bering Strait, or any other international waterway as leverage in a conflict. We take that off the table, and that isolates the whole issue to what President Trump has been consistent about since the 1980s, even before entering politics. We can't have a genocidal regime with its finger on the nuclear button, period. I have to say that I'm grateful that we finally have a president who is taking bold and decisive action to deal with the problem before it becomes an absolute crisis and before we run out of options. And that's it. Make no mistake, the Iranian regime was seeking to build such a shield of conventional missiles. We've seen what they did with just what they had. Imagine in 1 or 2 years or 5 years if this wasn't resolved and they were free to have the program. And what if they put a nuclear warhead on one of those? Yes.
Ambassador, what is your reaction? And Vice President Jair de Vence with Brett on yesterday's special report. He is identifying he found some good signs despite the negotiations having failed last weekend. Listen.
I think we made some progress. They moved in our direction, so I think we can say we had some good signs, but they didn't move far enough. Whether we will have more talks, whether we will reach an agreement in the end, I really think the ball is in the Iranians' court because we put a lot on the table.
What did you learn from that?
Well, Sandra, we have to remember that these are the highest level talks ever, okay? Well, actually between the Iranian regime and the United States. Well, they were direct, something the previous Ayatollah had absolutely refused to do. Well, and it seems that, as President Trump repeatedly says, they want a deal. They need to make a deal. The interesting thing was that they brought the president of the central bank, and Trump doesn't get enough credit for the second national security memorandum of his term. It was to reestablish maximum pressure. Their economy is in free fall. At the UN, we reimposed the sanctions, so the rest of the world joined us. Therefore, time is not on their side here. And as President Trump says, we hold the cards, not Iran. Let's see if they come back for a reasonable deal.
As the song by The Who says, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. That's what we see with Ghalibaf and Ibrahim under the same old regime. They are the exception in the region, unlike the other Persian Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia, which seek progressive modernization, peace, stability, and prosperity. Iran wants to continue as an outlaw regime, and if this regime continues, will we ever have peace and stability in the region? Or will they continue to destabilize everyone?
Well, they certainly have radical actors who exist only to export the revolution. And as I pointed out to the Iranian ambassador at the UN, name a country that is better off because of Iran's export of terrorism. Certainly not Lebanon, Syria, or Yemen, nor Gaza, or anywhere else. But we think we're dealing with some rational actors. They have to deal with the clerics and with the ayatollahs. But look over there, on the other side of the Gulf. That's what I point out as well. Look at Dubai, see Manama, Kuwait, and Riyadh, and Oman. Oman is booming and offering a better quality of life, not only for its citizens, but for the next generation. We'll see if we haven't cornered them to the point where they have no way out.
I mean, the only thing holding the region back is Iran.
And for those who talk about moving to Asia, you know what? When President Trump finally solves this problem that keeps dragging us back to the Middle East because of the violence Iran exports, then we can really focus on the rest of the world.
Ambassador, thank you for being here today. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.